We always had a tradition in my family of picking out a live Christmas tree every December. It was a small way to make the season special, even when money was tight. Last year, we decided to try a new place, a family-run tree farm on the outskirts of town that we'd heard about from a coworker. It was supposed to be a charming experience, complete with hot cocoa and hay rides. But what we got was something I'll never forget. It was a crisp, overcast afternoon when my wife, our 2 kids, and I bundled into the car. The farm was about a half-hour drive from home, nestled deep in the woods. As we pulled up, I noticed it wasn't as festive as I'd imagined. No string lights or cheerful music, just a weathered wooden sign that read "Evergreen Acres," swaying in the wind. Rows of trees stretched endlessly into the forest beyond, their dark green needles dusted with frost. We parked near a small shack where an older man in a thick coat and red beanie greeted us. His face was kind, but his eyes were sharp, like he was sizing us up. He handed us a rusty saw and a map of the property, pointing out the section where the best trees were. "Pick whichever you like," he said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes, "but stick to the marked paths." The kids were thrilled, darting ahead as we followed the map into the rows of towering pines and firs. It was peaceful at first, the crunch of snow underfoot and the occasional chirp of a bird breaking the silence. The air smelled of pine and cold earth. We wandered for a while, inspecting trees, debating which one was the fullest or the most symmetrical. It was my daughter who spotted the perfect tree, a tall, lush fir standing a little off the main path. My wife and I exchanged a glance, knowing we shouldn't stray too far, but the tree was too good to pass up. The kids were already running toward it, their laughter echoing in the still air. As I knelt to saw through the trunk, I noticed something strange. There were footprints in the snow around the base of the tree, big ones. They didn't look fresh, but they weren't old either, and they circled the tree in an odd pattern. My wife noticed me staring. "Probably from someone who picked the tree but didn't cut it down," she said. I nodded, but something about the way the prints overlapped, like someone had been pacing, made my stomach tighten. The kids were getting restless, so I pushed the thought aside and finished cutting the tree. We carried it back to the path, but as we walked, the woods felt different. The light was dimmer, and the wind had picked up, whistling through the trees in low, mournful tones. The cheerful atmosphere from earlier was gone, replaced by an uneasy silence. My wife must have felt it too because she whispered, "Let's hurry up." That's when my son stopped dead in his tracks, pointing toward the trees. "Who's that?" he asked, his voice small and uncertain. We all turned to look, and my heart jumped. At the edge of the woods, maybe 20 yards away, was a figure. They were wearing a dark coat, standing unnaturally still among the trees. "Probably another customer," I said quickly, though my mouth felt dry. "Come on, let's keep moving." The figure didn't wave or make any sign they'd heard me. They just stood there, watching. I urged the kids forward, my grip tightening on the tree trunk I was dragging. We made it back to the shack just as the sun was beginning to set. The old man from earlier was gone, replaced by a younger guy who seemed surprised to see us. "Thought everyone cleared out an hour ago," he said, handing us some twine to tie the tree to the car. "We're about to close." I didn't tell him about the figure or the footprints, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone in those woods. As we drove home, the kids fell asleep in the back seat, and my wife tried to reassure me it was nothing. A strange coincidence, maybe a prank. But the pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. Later that night, after the tree was set up and decorated, I went outside to grab something from the car. The street was quiet, and the air was sharp with cold. As I locked the car, I glanced at the tree through the living room window. It looked beautiful, glowing with lights and ornaments, but my eyes caught something in the reflection, a dark shape standing near the edge of the driveway. I spun around, heart racing, but there was nothing there, just the empty street and the faint rustle of wind in the trees. I went back inside, locking every door and window behind me. My wife asked what was wrong, but I didn't know how to explain. Over the next few days, little things started to happen. The kids swore they heard footsteps outside at night, though I never saw anyone when I checked. Ornaments on the tree would be shifted or missing entirely by morning, only to reappear in strange places around the house. Then, one night, I woke up to the sound of soft tapping on the living room window. I grabbed a flashlight and crept downstairs, every nerve in my body on edge. The tree stood in its usual spot, but the window behind it was slightly fogged, as if someone had been breathing on the glass. Outside, in the freshly fallen snow, were footprints, large ones like the ones I'd seen at the farm. They led from the yard to the window and then vanished into the darkness beyond. We took the tree down the next morning, packing it up and leaving it by the curb for trash pickup. The strange occurrences stopped after that, but I can't look at a Christmas tree now without feeling a knot of unease. Every December, I think back to that day in the woods and wonder if we brought something home with us, or if it followed us all on its own.